In this video, I'm covering one of my favorite takedowns, the slide by. First, you'll see clips from a recent class where I walk through the details. Then I'll break down a few live examples of me hitting it in real situations. Check the timestamps below if you want to skip to a specific section. We're doing takedowns. I like takedowns where we can go from hand fighting immediately to the back. So last week, we went over arm drags. That could be one way you guys get there. Another good one, if you like underhooks, go underhook, throw by, maybe you get to the back. Another one some of you guys might like is like a duck under. You get to the back. The one we're gonna do today, this is my favorite way to get there. It's a slide by. So it's gonna be off of his collar tie. So there's different ways to do it, but the ones we're gonna do today is gonna be off, for me, I like to do off the right collar tie. That's what most people are gonna grab the collar tie with, is their right arm. And we'll do two ways to do it. So one's gonna be the bump method. So I'm gonna use basically my fist against his elbow here, pivot, take him through. Then the other one's the hook method. So I'm gonna actually grip, my elbow goes to the ceiling, I'm gonna grip through, grab the tricep, same pivot, pull with the collar tie, and I'm on the back. So these are really efficient takedowns because we don't have to shoot, we don't have to expose our neck, not super risky. And they're there a lot because a lot of people use collar ties. So we'll do the bump method first, so the fist one. I think this one's just a little bit easier to learn. For either one though, what I want to get ideally is a little bit of momentum. So I want him either like leaning onto me, or even better, like kind of driving into me a little bit. That's when it's going to work really well. So when you guys are drilling this, just create some push-pull. So if he's not driving into me, maybe I push into him, he pushes back, and then we can time it. So you guys can see he's got a right collar tie, I've got a right collar tie. What I want to do is pivot in a way and then use my fist to basically dislodge his collar tie and have him fall through here. And I keep my collar tie to pull him through, and now I'm on the back. Here. So it's a big pivot. The way that my body and my head move are really important. So if you guys see, I'm facing him right now, but when I actually do it, we're basically facing the same direction. And as I lean away, it's gonna loosen this grip so I can pull it through. When I'm using my fist right above the elbow here. And I think people get a little too focused on this part because that's what you see. But really the pivot and the way I move my head away is what makes it work. And this is kind of just the finishing touch. Once it's loose, that helps me get rid of it. So it's loose already. Now it comes off. Pull them through. One good habit when you guys get to the back, lock your hands right away so they don't grab hand control. Here. Any questions? All right, guys. 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna have you guys step out and show. You guys are looking really good. I just want people to see other people doing it. Just sort of trade reps for a few.
Yeah, seriously.
So Mike, you get a couple. One more. So you guys can see like how smooth it looks. Good mat return. It's a tough move to learn because a lot of things are happening at the same time. So you gotta get your grips, you gotta pivot. That exact moment where the grip gets loose, you have to bump it through or hook it through, and then you got to pull with the collar tie. And there's just a lot happening simultaneously. So it's challenging. It takes a lot of reps to get comfortable with it. Not everybody. Some of you just may never feel comfortable with it, and that's fine. It's just not your move. But if it becomes your move, it's super reliable and it can be very effective. So just a couple troubleshooting things. Whenever I teach this, a lot of people will basically do like a slide by duck under sort of combo. So it's not a duck, and by duck I mean I'm not going underneath this arm. I'm not trying to go under it. That's a different move. I'm trying to basically have it go past me. So if you guys watch me do it, it's here. It comes past. Now I don't go underneath it. So again, here. The other thing too, I need to move my body and my head especially to get his arm extended. If his arm stays like locked in, like if it's here, and I try to get this through, there's no way. He's too strong. But if I can get it extended here and then also move my head where it like loosens the fingers a little bit, now it gets much easier. So you gotta find for you that sweet spot of where you can pivot, get that arm extended and loosen it just enough. And then you have to time the bump right when that happens. But I think I pay attention to like where my head goes. So facing him, then when I go, it's here. Moves away. And I'm not staying upright. I'm like bending over as I do it. So I bend here. And if I can get his momentum forward all the way, sometimes you can get the mat return right off the rip. Just pull him through. Let's do 5 more minutes with those adjustments. If you guys are feeling comfortable with it, feel free, like those two are doing, you can add on a mat return if you want, just to get in the habit of that. And the reason why locking your hands is a good idea is because if he's savvy and I hit this move here, what he might do is keep his left elbow tight, and then as I come through, he starts grabbing my hand. And now he's got hand control, it's hard to control him, and he just gets away, and I lost a chance to get the takedown or the back. So if I can just drill the habit of as soon as I get behind him, I lock my hands. Now if he gets hand control, like I can keep my hands locked and I can work from here. Same thing with arm drags. Any takedown where you get to the back, just a good habit to lock right away in my opinion.
So real quick on that point about the importance of locking your hands, whenever I say that, I oftentimes think of this clip, and this is Peyton Robb versus Levi Haines from 2023 NCAAs in the semifinals. Peyton Robb's gonna hit this really nice slide by off Levi Haines' right arm collar tie. Smooth, clears the elbow, starts getting around to the back, and we can see Levi Haines does a really nice job keeping his left elbow tight. He doesn't let Robb lock his hands, and he's able to escape without the takedown. And this was in a very tight match. I think Haines might have won by a point or two. It was very close, and this could have very well been the difference between Robb making the finals and losing. So it just highlights the importance of when you do hit this slide by, a really important goal is to try to get your hands locked as quickly as possible. And on the flip side, if you get hit by a slide by or any sort of takedown from the feet where someone ends up on your back, if you can prevent them from locking your hand, you have a decent chance of escaping without getting scored on.
All right, let's try the hook method now. If you guys haven't tried it yet, this is the one I usually like to use. I find that some people love it or some people hate it. It sort of either works for you or it doesn't. The idea is I got to get my elbow pointed up and I'm finding that tricep grip. So my fingers are like reaching through and around, and then it's really the same as the bump otherwise. All the mechanics are the same, but I'm just pulling it through now instead of just like punching it through. Here, far hip, lock my hands. So now that you guys are more comfortable, start thinking more about the push-pull, like get the person to lean into you more. Because if he's just standing straight up, or even worse, if he's sort of like backing up a little bit, this is not a good option. It's not gonna work well. I wanna try to get a lean if I can, or at least get him a little bit like holding his ground as I drive into him. If I feel him hold his ground, I know there's a little momentum when I pivot into this, here. So I think of him, he's like a bull, and I'm the bullfighter guy. Like I'm trying to get him to lean into me, that I'm moving out of the way at the last second. And his momentum just goes past me. Here. One thing I see a lot of people doing is trying to move themselves around to the back, which seems like it would be what you want to do. Like they're trying to like run around and do it. But really it's more about just me pulling him past me. So I'm actually gonna move away from him. Like my foot might step a little bit around to the outside here, but my head moves away here. And as I'm doing that, I guide him through here. So if you guys want to play with having your partner lean, like really lean into you here, and try to get all the way to that mat return, which is the ideal situation here. And once you guys are in this situation, you're ready to attack the turtle. So you have that with the claw grip here, but if you wanted to, you could switch over to a seatbelt and just get used to that transition too. So just a couple more. one more. And the one thing I will do is I won't grab this right away, it telegraphs it. I'll just sort of dangle my hand here. So I'm just sort of like on the elbow. I don't grab it until I start pivoting. So I pivot, now I grab it. Here, so you don't telegraph it. That's good. All right, 1, 2, 3. If you guys are ambitious about your stand-up game, you wanna have, I think, a plan for the common tie-ups. So the collar ties are the most common. So if the person gets a left collar tie, here, I wanna have like a plan, something I like to do against this. It could be just clearing it, or it could be, we didn't go over it today, but there's like over tie slide bys where I come here, pivot, and get around the back that way. You can do that with like a foot sweep here, like as he circles with me, you can time that. But I just want something, if he gets a left collar tie, for me it's oftentimes actually just an underhook. That's what I look for. If he gets a right collar tie, I have something else, and it might be what we did today. Here, could be that. But it's good to have like a plan for what you're gonna do against collar ties. So this is one good option for you guys to do. A great time to hit this move is actually right when they get the collar tie. Especially if like they don't wanna get a collar tie right away, I sort of like, he's maybe grabbing my wrist or inside, and I sort of like maybe convince him, I like put his hand here. So like as he goes for it, it's right away. Before that grip gets like anchored down and secure, you can still do it, it's harder. But as soon as if he just like reaches for it now, even before it like latches on, I just go. It's something to look for when you guys are sparring later. Good? All right, 1, 2, 3.
Let's go through a few live examples now. So this first one's gonna be from No Heat Pan Ams from a few years ago. Check it out a few times. So a couple checklist items. Number one, I'm only doing this move, this particular slide by, off a right arm collar tie. So that's gotta be the first thing. So we can see he gets the right arm collar tie. I'm also gauging him for any sort of forward momentum, whether that's a driving into me or oftentimes just a lean, not standing totally upright. And so here he's got a little forward lean, that's a good thing. And so I'm gonna bring my elbow to the ceiling, and then as the elbow comes up and I start the pivot, you can see my fingers are gonna loop around the tricep of his right arm. So they loop around, elbows up, big pivot, pull the arm through. And really important that I keep the collar tie grip, because what that's gonna do, if I can clear that elbow, his right elbow, it's going to allow me to lock that elbow in place where he can't bring it back, and it's gonna cinch my angle here and allow me to get around to the back. So the next two are gonna be from the same match. This was a Chicago Open some years ago. For both of these, I'm going to do them pretty quickly off of his right collar tie. So what I mean by that is he gets the collar tie and I'm looking to go right away. And the reason I like to do this is oftentimes right when they get the grip is not totally secure yet. It's still a little bit loose. They haven't quite anchored it down. And I find that that's a really good time to go. So right when they get the collar tie, they're leaning into it, you let it rip. So as always, the mechanics, pivot's really important. I think one thing that gets overlooked with slide bys is the way that the upper body and the head are contorting. So right now I'm standing straight up, and then as I do the pivot, you can see how I'm in this horizontal position with my head actually pointed down. And what this does is it gives me the power. My body moving like that generates a lot of momentum and power. And then it also moves my head in a way that loosens his grip. So it loosens his collar tie grip. And so when I move myself in this fashion, I'm generating power, I'm loosening his grip, and then the finishing touch is the hook on the tricep that throws his arm through, and then I keep the collar tie to lock it in place. So here's the last one we'll look at. This one was from training. And I like this one because this is the bump method, which I usually never do this style of slide by. I usually do the hook method is what my preference is. But here I do the bump. Sometimes the bump can be just a little quicker. You don't have to grab anything. You're just punching that tricep through. And this is a good example of a certain setup for the slide by. It's going to be off any sort of shot, whether it's a single leg here or off sometimes an ankle pick, where they're keeping that collar tie through the shot. And that collar tie, as they lower their level, can become a liability for them. And it's a great opportunity to punch that arm through and get to the back. And when they shoot like this, they're on their knee, maybe one or two knees, and they're leaning forward. So it gives me the thing I already want, which is that forward momentum or lean. So all that together is a good time to go. So here he's going to be building his base up, and as he's building it up, I'm going.